All right. So, what you got on deck for the remainder of the day?
I am going to the city of Taylor to pull a permit for some work that we got to do at one of my listings. I have to go to Bramall to pick up a key for an open house I'm doing tomorrow for a rental. But got so many people, the owner finally got together, but I had so many people that contacted me. I'm like, let's just do an open house. And whoever wants to fill out the application, great. And then I'm gonna go. I don't know if I told you, but there's some cats at one of my listing I'm like fostering. I was trying to figure out if they belong to anybody, but they don't. And actually I just found out today that the people who were living there abandoned them, which is so shady.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so I'm feeding them, and I'm gonna reach out to the shelter that I volunteer for, and I'm gonna ask them um to um help me with getting them their shots and all that. And then I'm gonna look for someone who would like to adopt them. Hopefully I don't have to like take them to the shelter. But they're nice cats. I just reach out to people that I know like cats. Like my next door neighbor, my old next door neighbor, her son-in-law, no, her son and her daughter-in-law adopted one of the cats. This always happens to me. I like be at properties and people abandon their pets. They adopted a cat. He's living his best life. Another property I had, a lady had abandoned her cat. His name is Shadow. He's living his best life. He got adopted. And then the shelter I volunteer for, they like really hooked me up. Like all it took was like $50. They neutered the cat. They got him all of his shots. Like they really like hooked me up. And Vicky's sister-in-law fostered him after his surgery for like a week. So I got like a nice little network of people who will help me. But I just think it just sucks when people, like you don't have to have a pet. If you know what I mean? If you're like
Right.
that type of scoundrel that you will abandon an innocent animal, like what are you getting a pet for? Like it's just crazy to me.
Yeah, that's wow, that's shocking. You
I
know,
agree.
and you took the words out of my mouth. I don't need to say anything else about that.
Crazy.
Which it's kind of triggering a question. It's a little bit off topic, but I'm still gonna ask it anyway because you're in the streets more than I am.
Yeah,
I've been reading reports that foreclosures and evictions are up.
they are.
Okay.
They are. Because first of all, with the evictions, I can attest to that because I have several in progress right now. Um, and a lot of it has to do with um people just not having the resources to sustain themselves. Um, you know, they are financially not responsible. Um, and that's what ends up happening. Like most people are like one paycheck away from being on the streets. So if something happens, and they tell you the story of what's going on, like, oh, my car broke down, or whatever, various scenarios of whatever. Um, then they just fall behind and keep falling behind and keep falling behind. And I've got a couple tenants that are underperforming. And it's just up to the owner to say, hey, look, um, you got to pay or you got to go. Um, so yeah, definitely evictions are up, and foreclosures, of course, because a lot of people have been fired, lost jobs here in Michigan. Um, if you're working a 9 to 5, you know that you have no job security. Like,
Right.
months ago they did a mass firing at one of the big three. I can't recall what it was, but it was like not even just line workers, it was like people that were white collar. They
It was still
called,
on. It's still
yeah,
on. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. They called everybody in, did a Zoom meeting, and was like, all right, canceled. Um, so that's what, of course, if you move from another state to be here to do a job, that's gonna affect everything. Like your whole life just like went down the tube in like 2.2 seconds. So yeah, it's a very real thing that's happening here. So there's a lot of people that are distressed. And then taxes have gone up too, especially in Oakland County. They're tearing them out the frame with like Southfield. like the taxes out there is crazy. It's ridiculous. And I feel like they're trying to like make it so that some people can't live there.
You know what? Man, I wasn't expecting to have this conversation with you, but since you went there, look, there's a word for it. It's called regentrification.
Absolutely.
And it's, to me, it's not even a matter of people trying to make regentrification happen. I really just believe in our economy, the way our society works, and the way capitalism works. Regentrification is almost kind of like inevitable. It just happens. Like it's not like, I mean, sure, there are some people pulling some levers sometimes to expedite the process or to leverage what's going on in the marketplace. But when it happens over and over and over and over again, it stops becoming people trying to make something happen, or it stops becoming a conspiracy. You just begin to understand this is what it is. And you have to be smart enough to pivot. All right. They say when there's blood in the streets, you buy property. Right. And I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's like, it's always amazing to me when I see people up in arms, like, and we know the people who end up getting displaced. We know that disproportionately is Black and brown people, right? They catch that L when things like that happen. But the bottom line is, I mean, can you not see it coming? You know what I mean?
It's like we have to stop giving people a pass and letting people play the role of the victim. Because I
Yeah.
think like it's like not to be vogue or not to be like heartless, because you know, I feel for people too, but you're in charge of your destiny. If you see that something is kind of weaning down or something's not, you know, as plentiful as it was before, because it's happened to me and it's happened to you and every
Mhm.
other entrepreneur we know. That's when you pivot. Like, okay, cool. Like this is like kind of like dying down for whatever reason. And now I'm pivoting over here. I did it myself in my own businesses. So, you know, I think that's part of it. And for people who have seen it happen, you know, because, you know, business is secular and all that kind of crap. Like, if you've seen it happen before, you know it's going to happen again. It's the ebb and flow. So you have to be prepared and you have to like be like woke to pay attention to the signs. You can't just be in
Yeah.
la la land thinking like, oh, it'll just work itself out. No, it probably won't work itself out. So
Mhm.
unless you work it out. That's the only
Yeah.
way to get worked out. So I think a lot of people just fail to um see the signs and then they like feel like now I'm in victim mode. Like woe is me. But I mean you already knew it was coming. So like you should have prepared better.
Yeah.
I mean that's what we're doing right now. We're prepared. We're like I'm ready. Like if people are like, oh, the interest rates are too high, like I'm not buying. Okay, cool. Well, I got other shit going on anyway. I don't care. You know.
Right.
So, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess it'd be a kind of sort of a segue into what we're supposed to be chatting about. And what you said has I think it's really relevant, right, to the topic, right? You can tell I'm sleep deprived. I just said it right 3 times in a row, I think. But anyway, um, the ideal of people making decisions with their finances and business, that's of course how I was thinking about it, where you know there's this dichotomy that you see particularly online right now where people are arguing about should you make business decisions based on your gut and how you feel versus using data and statistics. And I think there's a give and take. There's a balance that you have to have when you talk about making certain business decisions based on your gut or statistics. And, you know, it's one of those things where, I mean, for our conversation that we just kind of jumped off of, man, you got to become financially literate. You got to study the market. It can't be about how you feel all the time. It can't be based on your gut or, you know, what your intuition is telling you, particularly when you're not educated, you don't know any better. I see that happen with business owners all the time, following their gut, following their intuition, as opposed to just paying attention to the statistics, paying attention to the KPIs, like really taking inventory of what's going to transpire. You know, they say people lie, numbers don't lie. Numbers can be manipulated though, but numbers don't lie. Um, and yeah, what you just shared just really hit home for me, because I was coming at it from a totally different angle. I mean, part of the reason why I wanted to have this discussion with you is a conversation I recently had with another entrepreneur that I work with in North Carolina, and we were talking about this, right? How oftentimes I just don't believe it's a winning formula. You know, let me just cut to the chase. I don't think it's a winning formula to follow your gut for the super majority of people, right? They don't have the right things worked out. Like when you say follow your gut, what you're really saying is what you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable with something, you're going to get a feeling in your gut. If you're excited or comfortable with something, you're going to get a feeling in your gut, right? We call it intuition, call it what you want. But the bottom line is, if you're not, like, if your appetite isn't right, and if you don't have a clear vision for where you're going, if you haven't really, if you don't have that worked out in your mind and on paper, and if you're not out there executing, I just really firmly believe following your gut is like the wrong way to go about doing things. And this is coming from someone that probably follows my gut 50% of the time. I think it's a 50-50 ratio for me, right? I look to
Depends on what it is. It depends on what it is, though.
yeah, I mean, when I think about all the, once again, I'm contradicting myself a little bit, but when I think about all the errors and mistakes, I mean, the biggest mistakes I've made in business, and quite frankly, personally in life, is when I haven't followed my gut.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that have come back to hit me the hardest, right? Where I know better. I know this person isn't right. I know this deal isn't right. I'm sticking in there because of loyalty. I am like misplaced loyalty, let me put it that way.
Absolutely.
And it's like I see the train coming, but I stay on the tracks a little bit longer, thinking somehow we could figure it out. Or I've definitely thrown off the chains of being one of those individuals that's out here trying to save people. It's like, I will give you a hand up, make no doubt about it. And
Not
if and if I find out that you're earnest, I might be willing to kind of, you know, let's see if I can make the investment in you. But it's an investment. It's not going to be, I'm just going to give you a handout and think you're going to figure it out. It's not going to happen. But like I said, a lot of people, I know it's going to be some folks listening to this, it's going to be some flack behind it, but it's just the truth. Like, I don't trust a lot of people to make decisions based on their intuition about very little that they do in their lives.
I agree. And I agree with you that when you go against the grain of like not following your intuition and you do something anyway that you know is probably not going to work out, you always end up kicking yourself
Mm-hmm.
like that. Um, but it's to me, you have to have a comfortable balance. Like, of
Mm-hmm.
course, you have to trust your life experiences, your ability to read people, because we're in the people business. We deal with people every day, all day.
Mm-hmm.
And then your ability to use your own personal discernment based off of facts, you know. So even if, like, hypothetically, you have someone who you've known them for a long time and you know your emotion is like, okay, this person, I should be able to do this based off of that part of it, but then your factual side of yourself is saying, well, this probably won't work out because of this and this. You have to have that balance, you know. And it's okay to sometimes like say no. Like, I feel like one of the like things that stand out to me when I was like very young, one of my friend's moms used to always tell us, when in doubt, don't. Like, if there's any doubt in your mind about anything, you're around people like, and I was like 17 and she said this, and my girlfriend was like 2 years older than me. And she was a street chick, her mom, you know, she's from Detroit, you know, she had a baby young, everything's like, she used to talk to us like, you know, like grown women. She would tell us stuff, and you know, she was very blunt. Um, and I can hear those conversations in my head to this day. Like, yeah, when in doubt, don't. Like, I mean, if you feel like it's not right, it's definitely not right. So don't disregard, that spidey sense that you feel about people, places, and things. If you get someplace and you feel like, yeah, something's not right here, immediately take off. You have to trust yourself in those situations. So, but like from like a financial standpoint or like a deal, something like that, like if the numbers don't make sense, and obviously, like, okay, it doesn't matter what my gut's telling me. If the numbers don't make sense, the deal doesn't make sense. The transaction doesn't make sense. The investment of my time doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
I think you have to have like a balance.
I agree. I'm not going to disagree with anything you said. It's just, I've also seen that go dramatically wrong. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we had an exchange with someone who should remain nameless recently, where they did follow their gut and they made a poor decision. Right. And I went ahead and I posted that acronym POUR, right? People who pass over opportunities
Oh,
repeatedly.
absolutely. Absolutely.
You'll
Very
have,
fair.
yeah, because you'll have some individuals who will be in an environment or be presented with an opportunity, be presented with an investment, be presented with the space to develop a relationship, but because they don't have an appetite for it, they say no. Like, people really have to get it worked out in their heads. I was having a conversation with another entrepreneur and, family member, and I was like, look, you know, at some point you have to evaluate your appetites. Right? You can't want the lifestyle of a lion. You can't expect to make lion decisions if you got an alley cat appetite. Lions
Right.
don't, but alley cats eat. So if you're listening to music that's just straight up nihilistic, pejorative all day long, if you're having conversations or you're comfortable in environments where people aren't leveling up and aren't doing anything, if you're in a situation where every time hard work shows up, you run from it, if you're just constantly fearful of things that are new or foreign to you, I mean, you're not going to develop much. You're not going to grow much. I mean, success is found outside your comfort zone. And you have a lot of people who will, quite frankly, like detonate opportunities, detonate situations. They'll detonate things that could have a really positive impact in their lives simply because it's foreign, simply because, once again, it's unfamiliar. And they will run for the hills. And I've seen that happen so many times. Like, I've watched individuals in organizations and businesses, I've watched it happen in families where somebody's doing something that's completely and utterly different than what others would anticipate or expect or what's familiar to them. And once again, they dissuade, they hate, they ridicule, they give people a hard time. They,
Degrade you.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of individuals before they start, I'm not again, like I said, I rely on my intuition probably 50% of the time. And it has served me well when I follow my intuition. But at the same time, I will also admit my appetite had to change before I started following my intuition. Like, I made a lot of bad choices based on my gut and intuition in the past because my appetite wasn't right. Right? I had an appetite for things that weren't good for me. I had an appetite for people who were not good for me. I had an appetite for situations who were not good for me. And when my appetite changed, my behavior changed. I started liking different things. I started pursuing different things. I started being willing to engage with different people and put myself in different circumstances. And, it's give and take. That's why I'm just such a huge proponent of individuals really sitting down and taking inventory. Like, do you have the appetite of an alley cat? Are you just chasing rats all day long?
What
It,
made you pivot and change your appetite? Was it one thing or was it like a series of things?
it was a combination of things. I've had a lot of come to Jesus moments
Okay.
over the last several years. And my most recent divorce, quite frankly, was a huge come to Jesus moment, right? I really sat down and instead of blaming and being upset with the other person, I really sat down and I asked myself, how did I get here? What choices did I make? Like, why is it that I remained in a situation for so long, that really wasn't for me, right? That really wasn't serving me, that really wasn't creating like an environment or a situation where the success I was pursuing upon was trying. And I had to have a come to Jesus moment. I started looking at everything differently. Like I literally looked at my diet. I literally took inventory of the music I was listening to. I literally took inventory of the relationships that I had. I started, I heard another business owner a couple weeks ago who was talking about how they don't have a lot of good people around them to model their behavior on. And I immediately thought to myself how I just got to a point where I started reading the books of individuals that had the lifestyle, or at least were making business decisions that I thought were favorable, right? The outcomes that I wanted. So if I don't have the right people around me, I'll read from the right people. I'll listen to the podcast. I'm the type of person, I'm getting ready to do this next week. There's somebody who's been very successful, particularly here in the Detroit metropolitan area. And I'm like, bro, I don't want nothing from you. I'm not coming with my hands out. Number one, I want to know what's important to you. Number two, I have questions because there's places I'm looking to go. I'm coming with the spirit of how can I be of service? Because I know your time ain't free. And if you're having lunch with me, you're doing it altruistically. But I know whatever amount of money I pay for this lunch is not going to be commensurate with whatever wisdom or nuggets or connections you're going to give me, right? And when I started taking close inventory, once again, of the people who are moving the way I want to move, who have the things I want to have, when I really became laser focused on financial independence, wealth building, and freedom, I mean, it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to become like ruthless with your time and ruthless with your decisions to make sure that the decisions and the way you spend your time, the people you spend time with, that it's all correlate, that it's all congruent, that it's all moving in that same direction. And yeah, those are the things that really hit me. I mean, going to conventions like we just did, right? I stopped paying so much attention to what people were doing, and I began to ask, so why are they doing this? Right? It's one thing to just duplicate what other people are doing, but where it gets deep, where it becomes valuable, is when you begin to understand the why, right? And for me, that was all important. And that's where things start to change. It's like, I'm smart as hell. I don't think anyone can match it. There's very few people can match my work ethic. Like when I'm zoned in, it's a wrap. I will run circles around you. I don't care if you are 20, 30 years, you know what I mean? You don't have a chance in hell. You don't get worn out by someone like me, right? And I was like, well, if I have all these things going on, and I make a real effort not to compare myself to other people, but I look at my own race and I'm like, okay, I've been running this race. There are things that I want to achieve. I'm not achieving these things. I can't blame it on anyone else but me. And when I started having more of those come to Jesus conversations with myself and stopped looking on the exterior in terms of what other people were doing, what was happening to me, but started looking at things in terms of not what's happening to me, but what's happening for me, man, things accelerated. Things accelerated in a major way.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think a lot of these decisions are a lot easier than people make things more difficult than it needs to be, right? I mean, it's almost like you have a choice when you wake up in the morning. You can go to McDonald's and start smashing Big Macs, or you can grab a salad. And compound time and the way it compounds on your behaviors will definitely lead you to two different places if you keep doing that. Like, so what do you want? Right? You can spend your time. Look, I love music. I love the blues. I love jazz. I love hip hop. I love R&B. But I know a lot of the things in that music doesn't serve me. So I can either continue to entertain myself or maintain an appetite for the things that are coming out that music, or I was like, I can start reading books more. And I've always been a reader, but I just double down even more. listening to podcasts more, listening to people who, once again, have the things I want, right? Even an appetite, like it's certain conversations I just won't have. My gosh. When I think about the conversation I was having a year ago, but definitely 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, the stuff that comes out of people's mouth is like someone grating something up against a chalkboard. I can't take it. I have to immediately remove myself from the situation. You know, God, so many different appetites in terms of what I consume. It's been such a dramatic transformation. It's like, it's an appetite to want to just sit down and be lethargic and be lazy and just kind of let things to be acted upon. Even though that's never been my deal, but even decisions like now, like when we wrap up here, I could sit here and simply jump back on my computer and be sitting down for another 4 or 5 hours. No, I'm going to get up, I'm going to walk around. I'm going to listen to something, while I'm having a conversation, even while I'm prospecting, instead of sitting on my phone talking to people, I'm going to create the list of individuals well, it's already created, but I'm going to follow a list of people I need to talk to today. And I'm going to walk probably a mile or two and have probably a good 5 or 6 conversations, right? I just have an appetite for those things now. I want to be mobile. I want to be healthy. I want to be active. I want to be intelligent. I want to be practical. And we're talking about appetites in a really different kind of way. Like, people usually don't think about it like that. But yeah, until you get your appetites right, but more importantly than that, because it's hard to get your appetites right if you don't have a destination. Like, something that drives me crazy is I'll ask someone, and you've seen this, right? I'll ask someone, where you want to be 3 months from now? Where you want to be 6 months from now? Where you want to be a year from now? And if you can't answer that question, you don't even know what you should be consuming anyway.
Right.
Right? And then now you are trusting your appetites, your intuitions, the things that you're comfortable with. And those things are taking you completely off course. Like, that's the most, I think for me, here it is. Here's the real answer to your question. Now that I've had a chance to forcibly work it out. When I started getting crystal clear on my objectives, when it became clear as day, I've always known I want to win. I've always known I want to be competitive. I enjoy competition. I enjoy progress, right? But I still wasn't like crystal clear as I am today on specifically what I need and want things to look like, feel fulfilled a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I'm not going to be around 50 years from now, but you know what? I know clear as day what I want to know, what I would like to see happen 50 years from now in terms of what it is that I'm building here. And those things dramatically changed my appetite.
I could see how they would, because like you said, it's like you're very intentional about what you're consuming, the conversations you're engaging in, the people you're interacting with. You're um, kind of like in a personal boot camp development, where you're just like taking away all of the fluff and the fat and the superficial things and focusing on what really matters.
Yeah. 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 And then, of course, what I start paying attention to, I mean, look, the balance in your savings account.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to be careful about this, because as an entrepreneur, you're still, even if you're earning, I don't care if you're earning $500,000, $1 million a year, there's going to be periods where you're still, where your bank account is low. There's going to be 5, 6 times over the course of a year where you don't have a lot of money at your disposal, because especially when you're leveling up, you're investing that money,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's gonna be 5, 6 times over the course of the year where you're just like, dag, man, my pocket's not swole.
Right.
But also, A KPI though, nevertheless, is are your balances growing? It's really that simple. Take inventory of all your personal checking account, savings account balances. Is that balance altogether growing on a week to week, month to month basis? That's a very important KPI. If that is not the case, you're doing something wrong.
Agreed.
Right? A KPI I pay attention to is sleep. You know, now that I'm
You have to.
yeah,
Yeah.
now I'm at an advanced age. I'm like, man, I can't do what I was doing 10, 15 years ago. I'll mess around and have a heart attack. No. Important KPI for me is, am I averaging 7 to 8 hours of sleep? If I'm looking up week to week and that's not happening, something's wrong. I'm doing something wrong. Right? Aside from how many times I invite people to learn about my business, how many times I'm doing presentations, referrals, onboarding new partners, onboarding the right partners.
Yep.
That is determined by your appetite too. People vibrate, man. People vibrate. So am I onboarding people? Are they having success? Do I look up 2, 3 months from now and am I consistently ask myself, man, why did I ever bother? Or I'm like, man, that was a good decision. We working out. We getting along, we're winning, succeeding, we're sharpening each other, we're earning money together. Like, I pay attention to, man, I'm paying attention to different KPIs now.
And too, like when you're interacting with people, like, do you feel edified? Do you feel like it's like a mutually beneficial like relationship? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It really sucks when you have professional or personal relationships that are just one-sided. And that's draining. It's very draining. And it's uninspiring too. And I think that like KPI that I pay attention to is self-care, because sleep is self-care. Like when you need sleep, you got to do it. Like if for me, if I'm tired and I feel like I need a nap and I'm dragging, I'm going to do it because I just feel like right now my body is tired. Um or like if I'm trying to do something real late, cuz I'm sharpest in the morning. That's like my prime time to like get it in and like conquer beast mode. After about 5 or 6, 7, especially if I've had to like talk or interact with a lot of people or like do meetings, I'm probably operating at 50%. So if I'm like on my computer and I'm trying to do stuff and I start seeing I'm like making mistakes, I'll be like, I'm just about to shut it down, go lay down. I'm not going to keep trying to do stuff because I know that I'm not going to be accurate and I'm not at my best. And you have to like listen to yourself, you know, or like even if you're just like kind of feeling like a little bit like, okay, I just want to do something for myself. It's okay to go get a pedicure, go get a manicure. Take time and go to Belle Isle and get some fresh air. Like you said, you know, you can make phone calls, do the stuff you need to do. You're still accomplishing your goals, but you're like getting that fresh air, getting outside, getting some sunshine, you know, taking care of yourself because that's what you have to do. You know, your health is your wealth, mental health and physical health. That's your wealth. If you don't have those, then you really don't have a good quality of life. So,
Yeah. I
super.
mean, it's interesting. We have on our phones, or at least on my phone, it tells me like how many hours I spend per week, like utilizing the apps on this phone. And
All of them. Yep.
yeah, yeah. And for me, even though I utilize social media to promote a lot of what it is that I do, and I utilize it to accomplish a lot of different things, at the end of the day, it's like I get excited when the amount of time I spend on this phone starts to go down. Like that's something I'm paying close attention to. That's a KPI I literally watch. Like I don't want a certain number of hours spent looking onto this phone. Um, and I've noticed my quality of life is better because that means I'm reading more, I'm having conversations, I'm giving myself time for more original thought because you have to think through things to have success. You hit something on the head, right? It's like one of the most important things I've learned recently, once again, just things that I've accepted, is me 3 hours rested will get way more done than me out here grinding for 8 hours straight, not rested. I'll get way more done in that 3 hours.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I mean, if I'm not focused on this thing here, that means I'm probably at the gym. That probably means I have more bandwidth for my children. Instead of, listening to that BS.com that's waiting for me on these social media platforms, that probably means I'm having more substantive, edifying conversations with people that I care about and work with,
Absolutely.
That's another KPI that I pay close attention to. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna pull out my calendar today and I'm gonna look at like how many times did I invite someone to learn about business, how many times did a presentation go bad or well, all that stuff. Because I think you still need the data, you still need statistics to determine, because you can feel like you're winning and not be.
Oh, absolutely. You could feel
Yeah,
like you're like killing it. And then
yeah,
you look at your stats and you're like, yeah, about that,
yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. I agree. Because sometimes you could be doing something, but you're chasing duds, or you're not executing. Like you're doing stuff, but it's like, okay, yeah, you're like making the calls, you're doing this, you're doing that, but it's not really getting you to the next step. So you definitely have to be very mindful about everything.
Mhm, mhm,
And it's a delicate balancing act too, but I think when you invest in yourself, like how we did when we went to the conference,
mhm,
you can get crystal clear, laser focused based off of other people sharing things with you and like sharing a different perspective like that you never even thought of, you know.
mhm.
And I think that's very, very helpful too. And like operating in this space is like always trying to level up, do the trainings, do this, come out of your comfort zone. Do things that you really don't want to do. Like yesterday, I went to an event and I'll be honest, I really didn't feel like going. I was like, man. And then when I got there, the food was like not all that. So I was really kind of like, I just want to leave. But I thugged it out. I stayed. And I got some very helpful information. And some good contacts for some people for some things, and met some people, networked with some people and got some numbers. So it was like, that was the benefit, you know. But I really, like I said, I didn't want to do it. But sometimes you got to come out of your comfort zone. It'd have been easy to go home and just hang out with the dogs instead of being there for like 2 hours and then having to drive home. But it's worth it. You got to invest in yourself.
Oh man, that is so huge. Like, yeah, I mean, you said a word there. That was a gem.
Yeah,
Like,
you
you
got
don't
to.
have a choice. I really don't think people that is a KPI. Like
And I
you
didn't want to
can't.
let the person whose event it was down because previously he was like, "Hey, I need you to be here." And I ain't like I was on some BS.com. I was like totally doing something else because he was like, "Where you at?" And I was like on the road headed to a whole nother state. And I'm like, "Oh man, I got you next time." And he's like, "Man, I told you I needed you." Um, so I put it on my calendar. I'm like, I can't, this is like one of my people. I gotta like show up. So showed up and everything. And I'm gonna continue to go because they need my assistance. And I think it's a good opportunity to network. But you definitely, one thing too, you have to show up for the people who show up for you. If people are supporting you, you gotta support them. Like that's without question. If you're not doing that, then you're gonna have bad karma. Nothing good's gonna come to you if you don't support the people that support you. If they're gonna go out of their way for you, you gotta go out of your way for them. Even if it's something you don't really want to do.
Mhm. I agree.
Yeah. So
I agree. Um, and it's man, it's such a balancing act
it is.
when you. But I agree with you.
But
Um,
that's why you have to have a tight handle on your schedule. Like
mhm,
like yesterday when we were hey, we had our, call, and then we had like something else set up, and it's like if you're an entrepreneur, like your calendar is in your phone. Like everything that I'm doing today, I already knew I was doing last week. Like this. that was my exit. Like, okay, hey y'all, you already knew I had a podcast. I gotta go. You know, like it wasn't no one more thing. Like I'm out the door. Like I'm just, gone. Um,
Yeah.
so I feel like when you're operating in that space as an entrepreneur and you have a set appointment, you have to respect other people's time. And if you don't, it's like a red flag of like what we can expect to come moving forward if we continue to like work with this person or interact with that kind of energy. It's like you don't respect other people's time because why are you committing to an appointment and then you're um you're not showing up like you said you would, and then you're not really like giving any sort of like coherent explanation as to like why you're not showing up, or even if you're going to be a
I
couple minutes.
already know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I was so like confused. I'm like,
Yeah.
but then I started to like look at it and I was like, okay, so because I had another meeting earlier at their place of employment, because they wanted to like kind of like recruit me for some stuff. And you know, like they were like, okay, yeah, this and that. The appointment was at 2. I get there, they're not there. They're like, they had no, yeah, they had like another appointment someplace else. And I'm like, okay, that's like strike one. Because this is like your dog and pony show. You're asking me to come. You've been begging me to come. So I make time to come and now you got another appointment. And then this. So it's like, I mean, that's basically like your MO. Like you don't have a tight handle on your schedule, basically, is what I'm getting. So that's not really a good indicator of what's
Mm.
to come next. You're not, you don't have a tight handle on your schedule. So that's what it's going to be with you, pretty much.
Like people need frameworks. I'd rather see people until they're more self-actualized. I'd rather see people operate within frameworks
I
to
agree.
their goals, right? Um, for me, the best thing I did to help me in terms of understanding who I'm going to work with and spend the most time with was reading that book Traction. I go back to that, right? And that acronym, I can't remember if I pulled that from Traction. I think I did. I think I just put my different spin on it. But I was having a conversation with another friend, an entrepreneur I work with, and I was just talking. He asked me, he says, man, how you determine whether or not you're going to work with someone? And I always go back to gas, right? I think about the Southern saying that my mother in particular would share. She said, "Are you cooking with gas?" And I think about that all the time, right? Like, are the people that you're working with, do they get the mission? Do they get the assignment? Do they know what they should be doing, how they should be doing it, how you're supposed to show up? Do they understand why, right? Same values, same principles. Do they get the vision, what you're building? Are they willing, once again, to be accountable? Because I share with people all the time, people can respect the hell out of you, man. They can really be like, man, I really believe in what you're doing. But I don't want to be accountable to it. I
Right.
don't want to show up on time. I don't want to show up early. I don't want to stay late. I don't want to give more, which is like, it's the kiss of death, especially in the beginning as an entrepreneur, because you don't have wiggle room. Like there's not enough arbitrage taking place in your business to be dealing with people like that. You actually, it's counterintuitive because when you first start out a business, you fall in love with the people that you're working with. You fall in love with them because you're building this new thing together. They're part of the process when it's being born, right? You love them, but it's counterintuitive sometimes to get too attached, even with people that you start out with, because those individuals, as you start to climb, as you start to scale, the room for error um, becomes less and less. There's just a point in your business where you have to wisely invest every dollar, every mental nugget you have available to spend, every minute you have to spend. Like you have to be around people who want to be accountable to the thing, right? People who understand that in the beginning, you're going to do a lot of work that you don't get paid for. So later on, you get paid for work you don't have to do, right? you have to be like really, really, really aware of that, particularly when you're scaling. And then, do they have the skills? If they don't have skills, they're willing to pay the price to acquire the skills, right? I believe that can be such a helpful framework for people when they are evaluating who they have around them. I'm thinking about this guy now. It seems like I don't want to out him, so I'm gonna do it this way. Sometimes when I post certain things on social media platforms, he's all in, right? He's like, man, that was dope. You like that, comment this, that, the other, get the text message. But, bro don't want to show up for a training. Bro don't want to read a book, You don't want
What about Audible?
You said what now?
What about Audible? Like, why can't he just do it? Like, some people can't
I'm
read.
for that. I mean, even if it's audible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Audible, like why can't he?
Don't even want to do that.
Why? You can do that driving.
Because the appetite isn't aligned. He says he wants to earn 6 figures plus as an entrepreneur. Where if you're going to earn 6 figures plus as an entrepreneur, you better have an appetite for training and learning.
Oh, absolutely.
So he doesn't have that appetite.
Is he with our group?
He's in our ecosystem.
Okay. I felt like you didn't really want to answer. You're like, how should I answer that?
Because I'm very aware.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I get it.
I'm very aware. Because even if we're not talking about somebody, because it lands with somebody, they think we're talking about them.
Of course. And I know you have like a peanut gallery of like naysayers or whatever. So I get it.
It comes with the territory, man. The louder
absolutely. I got it too. Trust me.
No, the louder they get, the more excited I become. It means I'm doing something right.
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of funny sometimes too, because then you be like, okay, so you got a lot to say, but like, the results don't lie. Like, here goes the results. And like for me, because I told you I am petty, I feel like in those situations, I kill them with kindness. And I don't feed it, and then I let my success speak for me, because that's undeniable. Like, that's where it's just like, you can say what you want to about whoever you want to say it about, but if that person is killing it and successful and you can clearly see the results of that, the numbers don't lie, like you said. Period. So
yeah, I mean, if someone, I just did a post recently about that, how so often other people will let other people put a battery in their back to dissuade, hate on, belittle, etc. And for me, it's immensely entertaining when when I hear somebody hating on someone who's winning, who's successful, who's crushing it,
you know what it's about, though. You know it's not about that person. It's about the person who's speaking on it.
Yeah.
That's really about it.
And it's amazing to me how, once again, people will allow other people to put a battery in their back for folks that they don't even know. But once again, that boils down to that appetite, right? People who fall into those traps, they have an appetite for that kind of drama. They have an appetite for that kind of situation. They have an appetite for it. It's cool. It's like, I like this.
It's kind of like a form of mental illness too. Like, seriously, because I recently had that happen to me with somebody, a woman who shall remain nameless, someone who I'm definitely holding up in prayer. She knows who she is, but she was she's met me once. She spoke very, very negatively about me, just horrible. And it's like, how can you speak so negatively about somebody that you met once in passing? Like, you don't know this person, and for you to be having so much to say, to me, it's like, okay, that's your personal demon. Maybe I remind that person of someone who abused them when they were a child, or stole their husband or their man or whatever, or just, everything about me reminds them of something that's just a turn off to them, whatever reason it is. It's cool. It's no big. But like the person who was telling me about it, I was like, that person has a mental illness because you're focused on someone who's not even thinking about you. You're like so irrelevant and such a non-factor to this. To me, it's like I'm thinking about income generating activities. I'm thinking about winning, leveling up my team, taking notes on what you're saying right now. The book, I already had it downloaded in my in my phone, in my Audible. And I'm like, okay, yeah, he already said that one. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like that's what I'm focused on. Like, I'm not focused on like some bell pepper shaped chick from wherever talking crap. Like, it's like, dude, like what you need to do is focus on the things that are affecting you right now, which is your health, your mental health, and your physical health. That's what you need to be focusing on, not on me. And I think like, you know, when you experience that, you experience, you know, people just spitting venom on you and wishing horrible things. It's like the best thing for you to do is take the high road, you know, kill them with kindness, still be nice, still be ladylike, still be professional, and continue to be successful because your success is really what is fueling their bitterness towards you. Is it's your success. Um, and that's really, you know, I mean, as women, like women are very, they're they're different. And you know, and there's a lot of women that like don't support other women, you know, for whatever reason. Um, so it's
Uh,
something
I
that
mean,
we deal with in that
I,
group.
I don't want to interrupt you, man, but the way a lot of these men are being raised,
Well, yeah. Oh, there's a lot of
they're
men.
starting to behave just like women.
Well, they have, and I pointed it out
Mhm.
to a few people and said that when the way that they were acting and the way that they were conducting themselves, and in particular, somebody who was in our group that
Mhm.
I was like, that's feminine energy.
Mhm.
And they were like totally offended by it. But again, when you're letting your emotions dictate your moves, that's typical feminine energy. When you're, you know, your moves should be based off of strategic, whether you like people or you don't like people. Is this a good situation for me? Can I win in this situation? That should be your thought process. It has nothing to do with liking people personally, because there's plenty of people that we work with where it's like, you know, would I really um socialize with this person like outside of a professional setting? Probably not. But in a
Mhm.
professional setting, we're right here, you know, we're killing it. And that's what you really have to think about. Like emotion is baggage. That it has really no place in a professional setting. You know, when you're professional and you're in a professional setting, you have to think strategically. You have to like think objectively, like, okay, does this make sense? Do these objectives make sense? Does this project make sense? Does this alignment with these people or this group or doing this event, does that make sense? That's what you have to focus on, you know? And it can't be based off of emotion or feeling. Oh, how I feel. Well, how you feel 5 minutes from now is going to be totally different than how you feel right now. You know, emotions are fickle. They change with the way the wind blows, especially in personal relationships. So you have to keep that in mind, you know, and sometimes just taking inventory internally, like, okay, why am I bothered by this? Or why is this even a comment that I feel I need to respond to? Oh, that's right, I don't. You know? Um, and I think you can conserve a lot of energy that way if you know, think about stuff before you know, respond to it or react to it, especially if it's coming from a negative, bitter, or hostile place. It's like, do I really need to feed this? And I think the answer 9.5 times out of 10 is no, absolutely not. I can let that sit right where it is and keep doing what I'm doing and focus on my income generating activities and, you know, being a benefit to people, helping people, all the things that we focus on with what we're doing on a daily basis. I think that's what's important is conserving your energy for those activities.
Yeah, building taller buildings solves a lot of problems. Just
Absolutely.
build taller buildings, and yeah, um, you said a lot. I thought about 3 or 4 things while I was listening to you. I was thinking about something as well. You know, time we could promote or expose. So, you know, if you're listening in and you're on your knuckles right now, or you're going through some type of hardship, Just keep the faith, keep doing it, because time will promote or expose. I've seen so many people who were winning yesterday and on the curb today, and some people are winning today, and I know they're going to be on the curb tomorrow. And I don't even say this with malice or anger. Like, I don't want to see people lose. But man, when you start paying attention to people's appetites, you start paying attention to what's coming out of their mouths, you start paying attention to just the dust is being kicked up all the time. Man, like, I did not want to go here, but a couple of days ago, I was thinking about how when you're in underperforming environments where people's appetites aren't right, to me, it's always amazing when I find people who are in positions when people have titles. Because in entrepreneurship, your title at a certain point, it doesn't even matter. It matters, but it doesn't. But it's like people misconstrue titles with influence and power. And I was just having a conversation with someone. I was like, you know, there's a large company that I can't name because I'm actually trying to take them on as a client. but one of the things that I noticed was that there's an atmosphere creeping up in the company where the A players, the performers, the individuals who are doing the production, were out here winning and killing it. They're not getting the shine, the attention, the recognition. They're not getting the respect that they deserve. Mm-hmm. And I tell people all the time, man, if you create an environment where the losers, where the non-performers, where the individuals who don't move the needle have more authority and agency over what transpires than the people who actually are crushing it, you're in trouble. You're in trouble, right? That nepotism, that I like this person, so I'm gonna lean into them versus this other person out here is actually out there on the grind. Man, I'll willingly admit, I have watched over the last several years with great satisfaction as those individuals got their comeuppance, right? Where their businesses, their organizations fail. I didn't want them to fail, but I will admit it gave me a nice, warm feeling to continue to build the taller buildings and see them crumble by the wayside and not have anything to show, right? Because their appetite for recognition and being seen and being popular was greater than their appetite for being profitable and productive. Mm-hmm. And you see that a lot. You see that a lot. Anyway, I know you have somewhere to be in a moment. I want to touch on this. So I was talking to you, I was looking at it. Do you know we are so this is May 9th. And we are creeping up to the point where we're going to have about 20,000 people viewing our content across platforms. Wow,
that's impressive.
We're going to have 20,000 views. And a lot of these views half of them are people who are already kind of in the ecosystem, aware of what we're doing. The other half are people who are kind of unique, who are taking a peek at what we're doing. I went to one of my websites and I didn't even know. I'm going to have to find a tool that allows me to really hunt up the traffic, because I'll look at the different tools that I'm using. I can see, oh, this is winning, this isn't, this is winning. But anyway, it's a conversation for another time. But the reason why I share that is for individuals who are listening, you had to know I was going to go there. Look, if we're bringing value to you, like what we do, you're like, look, I'm glad I listened to this. And hit that like button, hit that share button. Let other people know what it is that resonates with you. Comment. We are open to suggestions, whether it be individuals that you want us to put on deck to have a conversation with, or whether or not there's a certain topic or subject matter that you're interested in, right? So we're not one of those, we're not a group of individuals that because you say something that we don't find is maybe relevant to us personally, that does not mean it's not relevant to other individuals, right, who could benefit from the information. So look, subscribe, like and share, let the universe know that we're doing good work here. And that allows us to accrue the attention and the resources required to improve this platform. And I promise you, if you do that, we will improve this platform week to week, month to month, year to year. We have some exciting things taking place too. Like we have the millionaires ball, the millionaire circle coming up in June. I don't know when that you've seen that. I sent out a couple of emails about it, but I'm really looking forward to that, where people will have the opportunity to show up and show out and come as their best selves 3 years from now. I think that's going to be exciting. That's going to be pretty cool. Really excited to put that event on to kind of feed people's vision and imagination and get people once again to get comfortable and develop that appetite for being their best selves. Really looking forward to that. Of course, we have the boot camp coming up, which is more intra-organizational. But in terms of that millionaire circle ball, I really want to open that up to the public so they can see our culture and what it is that we're building here, have a good time, have fun, eat a little network, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm looking forward to that. But hey, in order for us to make that happen, once again, we need that engagement. So I'm going to end it there. My short diatribe as I'm looking at the statistics here. What you got, Ponce, before we wrap up here?
Like you said, like, subscribe, share, and we just want to continue to add value. And we love what we do. We never get tired of talking shop. We're like two peas in a pod. So any topics you guys want us to cover, send them on over.
Cool. Well, look, I'm gonna go ahead and get it in. Got a couple places. I got a walk I need to take and have a conversation with some folks. I know we're gonna end up connecting before the end of the day, no doubt. Crush it. And of
Okay.
course, to our listeners, we celebrate your success in advance.
Thank you.